And welcome back to the Legislative One-on-One video series. If this is your first video, my name is Cory King. I'm the Executive Director of the Bath-Brunswick Regional Chamber. And we're doing these videos with all of the candidates for the State House seats in our Chamber District. And so, disclaimer up front, the Chamber does not endorse any State House candidates, but we do get along with many of them. And so, we look forward to you meeting these people and finding out more about them. And our next one is Cheryl. Cheryl, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Corey. Good to
Good.
see you again.
Nice to see you again. And I know it's a really busy time, and I appreciate you carving out some time to meet with us and talk with us today. So, Cheryl, as you know, we're going to go through 5 questions for viewers. We like to ask the same 5 questions to each candidate just to make it as fair as possible. But we're probably going to go down some roads and do some follow up questions on some of that too. So, with that, Cheryl, first question. What district are you running for and where does that cover?
Well, I'm running for re-election. I'm the current State House representative for District 99, and it covers all of Harpswell and part of Brunswick.
Perfect. Question 2, Cheryl, tell us a little bit about your background and why you're running for office.
Well, I'll start with I've lived in the district my entire life. I was born in Cook's Corner. I've lived in Harpswell for over 30 years. And the run started this is my way of giving back to the community. I have some time and energy, and I want to be part of the changes that are happening in the state. And I just love getting out and listening to the community and trying to bring their voices to the table. So that's the big issue I'm running. A little bit more about me is I come from generational poverty, and I tell people that because it's important because it gives me uh, an economic reality understanding of what a lot of Mainers have. I'm fortunate to no longer be there. I'm one of the founders of the Vicarage by the Sea, which is a long-term care home in Harpswell. We've been running for about 27 years. I have a life partner of 31 years, and we have 4 children. That's pretty much
Lovely.
a nutshell.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. And yeah, so last term was your first term or second?
Last year was my first term.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's great. Question 3, kind of the big one. What are the top 3 issues affecting Mainers right now that you look forward to working on if elected?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't think the top 3 issues have really changed since my last run, but I'll list them out. Housing,
Yeah.
childcare, workforce, and you cannot have one without the other. They're all connected at the hip. So I see those 3 as our state's priority to rebuilding everything because you got to have a solid foundation to build on, and we're not going to rebuild our solid foundation, which has some cracks in it right now, without doing it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are my
No, if I had to pick 3, those would be my 3 as well. And so I mean you've dealt with some bills on kind of housing on childcare and workforce is a constant conversation. Yeah, to tell me a little bit about the what you're hearing from people. Are there any ideas that are sprouting to the top that might help? Things like that.
Well, I think we made a lot of progress last year, especially in housing. We've invested a lot of money into it. I think that, we need a lot of housing. We need over 80,000 units by 2030. The thing that I see missing that needs to be worked on in that is right now we don't have a percentage of how much of that needs to be affordable. And we have a good breakdown of what county needs what and how to do it, and it's feasible to get to the amount of housing that we need by then. But I think that it will be more feasible to get there if we can actually put down finances to percentages of that. And one of the top things I hear from people still is 2 years in, housing.
Yeah, no, it's one of the things that we're working on in the chamber. I mean, there are no simple solutions, and if the answer was inside the box, we would have found it by now. I think some of the things we've done have we've been victim to. The NIMBYism isn't helping anybody, and I understand people have chosen the places that they live because they love this beautiful space and they love the area they live in.
Right.
But also, the house that you're living in was put there by someone whose neighbors didn't block it from happening. We need to pass that down to,
Mhm.
to the next group of people because that 80,000 number is a staggering amount of houses that are needed. And it's not an approaching crisis. I mean, it's a crisis right now. I was in a meeting last week, I think, and somebody was telling me that there was a project. I don't remember what community or whatever, but studio apartments were going for $1,700 a month. And I'm just $1,700 a month, which is more than many people's mortgages. Like for a rental of a studio apartment, like that is unfathomable. Um,
You know, I agree with you with that. I'll talk about a couple of things with addressing affordability because that's what it brings up for me. I just read an article. I don't remember if it was in the Times Record or in the Portland Herald. There was new, I think it was eco apartments done over on the landing in Brunswick. And I think it listed like almost $4,000 for a two-bedroom. And now they will have a percentage of affordability in it, which is why I'm bringing that up. It's because I don't see how we meet the needs of our workforce without across the board putting a percentage of affordability. I just think at this point, we have become a prime target for, and I'm not anti-corporate. I'm the founder of a business, but we have become a target of large corporations that are just for profit that are buying up our affordable housing. And because we don't have enough housing, people are paying 50 to 70% of their income averagely just for rent. 75% of Brunswick can't afford rent. So you're missing a day of work and you're getting evicted. And then you hit, and that corporation has a line of 100 people waiting for your apartment.
yeah.
So it's just rotating it. And I would encourage anybody to look up the cost of eviction because it costs way more than housing somebody. So
That's really, I haven't heard that before. That's a really interesting take on it. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, because you're talking about the things that are lost. You're talking about eviction court. You're talking about homelessness. You're talking about shelter fees is what, like almost $70 a day just per person. So, now you got a family, now you got family separation, now you got job loss, and I mean, it adds up very quickly. So figuring out ways to keep people housed, it should be a priority, and I think it is. We just have to do some out of box thinking on how to fix those gaps that are missing in it. And a percentage would be one way to do that. I'd like to see a percentage of 10 units and above. 10% of the house is income based, but I understand that, you have to have money. And if you're gonna make a loss, I think, I'd like to see the state create a tax credit to offset that loss up to market rate housing.
Yeah.
Uh,
I love that.
But clearly, I think the state's gonna have to step in and do something along that lines because we're waiting for it to happen when we can't wait till 2030.
That's it. That's it. And I mean, one of the other, issues with the housing too is people that have taken some of their second homes that used to be rental properties for workforce rentals. They're now doing that as vacation rentals because they can get more money as a vacation rental than they can as a monthly workforce rental, which I understand, but also that takes some inventory out of that rental market, which makes, I mean, and it's hard because you don't want to fault people who have this second home and this is a key piece of income for them. But on the other side, where is that rental market for people that can't afford to buy right now? And so there's just a lot of pieces to it. I could talk for a while, but let's get on to childcare and that piece of
So,
why it's so important.
so childcare is an issue. We lost hundreds. Well, I think shortly under 200, like 170, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't quote me on that figure, but I know it was well over 100 childcare centers during COVID. And while some of them reopened, we've just never got enough for several reasons. Nobody's going into the workforce because nobody's getting paid enough to go into that workforce. people who are opening up childcare centers and getting state subsidies ain't getting enough to run the childcare centers. And you know, I have a plan that will fix both of that, and it died on the table the last day. If I get reelected, I will be bringing it back. If I don't get reelected, I'll be up there lobbying for it to come back. You know, I think one of the things that we need to do is we need to work on also beyond just paying people and finding people. We have to figure out how we're going to create pipelines into workforce structures. So the bill that I had would have been designed to put childcare centers within high schools. So, you know, or if a district had room in an elementary, wherever they have room, if they have a vote 10, but to just give a rough example of what it could look like. Your 11th and 12th graders would run it. It would be overseen by an early child care education person. So they would be learning early child care education and stuff. And, you know, and this would be a benefit. It would also draw in teachers and bus drivers and staff workers that we need so badly in our school systems, because this would be a benefit for them to be able to bring their young kids to school, to work with them, you know, they don't have daycare, you know. And I would like to see it be free daycare, but there's no reason it couldn't be subsidized either if a school district needed to do that, as long as it was federal poverty level and below. And so when the students leave, they're going to be certified and ready to walk right into the workforce, or they're going to already have their early child care education 101 to go in, you know. So that this is all kind of ripple effects of this job. And one of the biggest things is you're not just raising, okay, I'm over here and I'm paying $20 an hour. Well, the daycare center next to me now is going to pay 21. So we're just bouncing employees back and forth because we don't have enough in the field. And so when I say we have to figure out ways when we're talking about, I'm 100% supportive of everybody making a living wage. And I will always support that. But we also have to figure out how we're going to support the workforce that we need to get them.
God, you said something too I want to highlight. Sorry, and I'll let you get right back to it. But when you said earlier in the housing, you got to think outside of the box. That's exactly right. Because if the answer was inside the box, we would have found it by now. And so we do need some of this new thinking and new ideas. And that's one of the things I really love about this childcare idea is it's a new take, it's a new fresh perspective, but it's not so far out of the box that you can't see how it would work, you know. And I love that.
And I think, you know, it brings a combination of, yes, vocational school mixed in with education. And I think that if we can get this through, even if it's a pilot program for several years, we can look at it, and there will be other aspects that we can use these spaces for too, to help build pipelines into other workforces. But right now, we have to figure out how to do childcare.
Yeah. No, and the other point that you brought up, which is so relevant in the childcare conversation, is treating these workers like the professionals that they are. But the problem is too, how if you only have the one revenue stream of whatever the parents are paying for the childcare, and you want to give a raise to staff, you've got to charge the parents more. But if the parents can't pay more, then how do you pay this? And there needs to be this third rail. And I know Speaker Fecto in his last year or something was looking at some sort of accreditation program where if you know there's a separate fund, and if the employee hits certain benchmarks, then that center might get some, but something like that where people, I mean, God, I've heard so many stories of people saying, hey, I used to be in childcare, but now I work at the hardware store because they can pay more. And I really miss not work, you know, and it's like, boy, that's a real choice.
And it's not even that they can pay more. People are doing jobs that they're very unhappy with because they have to, because the cost of living is so high right now. And, you know, touching on that, I don't remember if I spoke to you about this 2 years ago, but, you know, the whole idea of figuring out how to allow large corporations have on-site childcare for them. You know, now BIW is doing something like that. They're using a building in Brunswick, and it's going to be run by YMCA. There you go. I can speak now. But so it's stuff like that. But if larger corporations, I mean, look at the size of Walmart.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, create options. I'm talking about large corporations, and when they do that, they open up the smaller daycares
That's right. There's a cascading
for the
effect.
smaller businesses and for that. And so yeah, I think there's a lot of options, but we can't just be, folding the box over and looking at all the outside of it. We got to climb inside of it and take a real good look at all those sides. So
I love it. I love it. Hey, let's get to question 4. And if we have time, we'll talk more about workforce. But question 4 is: if voters could only know 2 things about you before they fill out their ballot, what would those 2 things be? Another way I've asked this question is: after you knock on someone's door, what are the 2 things that you hope they remember when you walk away? So take it
well,
however you want.
I'll answer this the best way that I can. Is for me, it's important to understand what my community needs are.
Yeah.
So I knock on doors. My first run, I knocked on over 4,000 doors. This time I'm gonna get, maybe 2,500 or maybe close to 3 because I'm still doing it. But I also ask them a question. Every single person that opens that door, I ask, while I'm here, can you just tell me what your biggest issue is at state? Because for me, representing the district is advocating for every person in the district. It's an advocacy job. And if I'm not out there asking people what their needs are, and asking questions, and if I don't have the answers, coming home and seeing if I can find them. So yeah, I guess that's what they need to know about me. I'm always going to work really hard to make sure that their voices are there at the table with me, always.
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And that I love so much that because you've talked to so many people, you understand what the biggest needs are: housing, childcare, workforce, that sort of thing. But that's not, and you're creating plans to help solve those. But it wasn't like you came in with that. It came from you going out and asking people what they need, and that's a really important distinction about how your policy agenda is being formed. Is it's being formed out of the needs that you're hearing, rather than you saying, "Boy, I'm really into this, that, or the other, and that's why I'm campaigning is to support this, that, or the other." It's your always keeping a finger on the pulse of what is needed, which I think is just such a great way to do it. Um, Cheryl, last question, and then I'm going to ask you if there's anything else. But last question: if people want to connect with you or find out more about you as a candidate, what's the best way for them to do that?
The best way to contact me is either through email or my cell phone contact. I can give you my cell phone contact. It's 207-535-9857. I am still the current State House representative, so a little Google and my representative page comes up, and you can always contact me through that.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you want to leave us with?
Well, I do want to add just a couple of things
Yeah,
because
of
you
course.
brought them up about, meeting the community's needs and some of the bills that I created. And when we talk about housing and affordability, I was able to get through, now we can put manufactured housing on single lot, across the state. That's going to open up huge affordability. So it really is all about talking to the people and seeing what the needs are and then figuring out, hey, can this be legislated? Can we change this? And sometimes somebody says something to you, I'd like to see this happen, and you go, oh, that's a great idea. I think that could work, so yeah, I just think the bottom line is, for me, it's the most enjoyable part of this job. I love all of it.
Mhm.
Is just standing at people's doors and sitting on the couches with them and talking to them and listening to their stories and what they'd like to see change.
Love that, Cheryl. That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for the time. Certainly do appreciate it. And we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.